Hi, this is Landon Bryce from Thoughtcast, and I want to talk to you about biomedical conferences where people share unproven research. There's two big ones. One is called IMFAR, and one is called AutismOne. And one thing that's been going on, that goes on a lot, is AutismOne was recently held, and the IMFAR people have been talking a lot about how awful AutismOne is, because, particularly because of this one presentation, which apparently had the wonderful idea that a good way to cure autism, but I guess that's what AutismOne is about, is to put bleach off people's butts to give them enemas, or have them or maybe digest this formula, which is basically bleach. And yeah, I get why that's pretty upsetting. But you know what? The only coverage I've seen of the bleach up the butt cure for autism has been from IMFAR people, who are all going, oh, "Look how awful AutismOne is. They're just so awful, those AutismOne people." And I would agree. The AutismOne people are pretty awful, although I think they're well intended. I think there are some deliberate charlatans there, but I think probably most of the people there are very well intended. And I don't think IMFAR is a good idea. I think sharing unproven research is a terrible idea. You know what I haven't seen from any of the IMFAR people who are so concerned about the bleach up the butt thing? I haven't seen any of them being concerned about the fact that this Oxytocin thing, which was one of the big things, there were two big things from IMFAR this year. One was a nasal spray of Oxytocin is going to make autistic kids more social. And I don't think this is based on a sample of more than 50 people so far. I may be confused. I think the big study was 7, and I think there was another study with 40. So this is not, ready for primetime research. This is an interesting possibility. But in Australia, at least, we have parents who are going to the pharmacists and experimenting on their own with giving their kids this hormonal nasal spray, just to see what'll happen. And that, I think, is a lot more likely to happen, more widespread than people. Don't you think there are probably a lot more people who are going to give their kids this unproven, this should not be being used by the general public yet. This is an experiment. And this is what IMFAR is about. What IMFAR is about is trying to create this false impression that autism research is finding out all these exciting things. You know what autism research has found out so far? Autism is not curable, and it's far more complex than anybody thought. It has a complex of genetic and environmental causes, and we are decades from understanding the mechanisms well enough for anybody to develop anything that's going to be a likely treatment. I mean, I'm sorry, if you don't understand that, then there's two things going on. A, you don't understand autism research. B, you are deluding yourself because you really want to find quick results. Or C, you're a researcher who needs to convince people that you're much further along than you actually are in order to secure funding for what you're doing. IMFAR is about creating the false impression that biomedical treatment for autism is that there's any research that supports it, because there really is not, and there won't be, not for a very long time. It's not a hopeful avenue. Again, what is the effective treatment for autism? It is education. But you know what educational treatment is not going to do? It's not going to make any corporation very wealthy. So no one's going to put any money into it. Certainly not Autism Speaks. Certainly not the Autism Science Foundation. They're interested in impossible goals, and they're interested in making a lot of money for corporate partners, and that's what it's about. So, yeah, I saw the Change.org. I think, signed the Change.org petition about Bleach. But you know what? The story isn't that IMFAR is good and AutismOne is bad. The story is that AutismOne and IMFAR are kind of, ugly sisters, and neither one of them is a good thing. This idea of propagating not ready for primetime research in order to create a false impression about the state of autism research, that's it. There's nothing okay about that, and that is what the goal of IMFAR is. Okay. AutismOne is more about selling things. AutismOne is worse. But please, don't tell me how concerned you are about bleach up the butt when you're not at all concerned about risperidol. Okay? If your response to the horrible research that indicates, that the drug which we're giving kids for autism is less effective than placebos, causes horrible, frightening side effects, and that the company which marketed it has consistently been dishonest about it, and you do understand, right, that Peter Bell of Autism Speaks was formerly of Johnson & Johnson of the marketing division, the marketing division at the same time that the illegal marketing of risperidone was being done. Medication is not a hopeful venue for the treatment of autism. Biomedical treatments, diets, supplements, barometric chambers. This is all bullshit. But so is oxytocin. So is giving mice, quote-unquote, autistic traits. So is growing stem cells. I mean, it's all bullshit. Some of it is more obvious and more dangerous bullshit than others. But it's, whether or not you subscribe to the IMFAR bullshit or the AutismOne bullshit, you're doing harm. Again, look up people just going in and finding, I don't know how much oxytocin I should give my child up the nose. I guess a lot. You think there's nobody's going to be damaged with that, huh? You really want to help autistic people, you do a couple of things that the organizers of AutismOne and IMFAR have no interest in. A, you focus on not eradicating autism, but on providing treatments that will help autistic people reach their full potential. And again, there's just no research that indicates that those treatments are anything other than educational in nature. And the other thing so you create these educational treatments, you give up on fucking drugs, and you start listening actually to autistic people. You start recognizing that autism is a difference in how people think. And the only way you're really going to understand that difference is if you actually listen to autistic people. See, here's the punchline. The hysterical thing is that everybody is all concerned about using bleach to treat autism. And bleach is the only thing we have. See, what is bleach? Bleach is an incredibly powerful solvent. It works only because it is strong. Okay, bleach, you don't use bleach to wash your fine underwear because it isn't specific, right? What all bleach is strong, destroying. Now, risperidone, when applied to autism, in other disorders where you have both positive and negative symptoms, different situation. But when applied to autism, the only reason risperidone or Risperdal works is because it's strong. It's an incredibly powerful drug. It's not specific to this disorder. If you look at the mechanisms of it, it has nothing to do with the issues of hyperplasticity that autism addresses, or even the issues of repetitive behavior. It has to do the chemistry of it is just, it doesn't make sense. Very different. But it does work in terms of cutting down some of the behavior, but it works because it's just an incredibly strong drug. The same thing is true with the only educational methodology we have that works so far, which is applied behavior analysis. Now, this is going to sound insulting, and people I love are going to get upset. But the reason that applied behavior analysis works on people with autism is because it is so powerful that it also works on animals. Okay, it doesn't. There's nothing specific to autism about applied behavior analysis. It's just an incredibly powerful methodology. It's Bleach. Both Risperdal and ABA are bleaching the brain. Now, again, I am very pro-ABA and very anti-Risperdal. And that probably really has to do with the population I've worked with, the fact that as an instructor, I thought what I saw happening over and over and over again was the school and doctors pushing parents to put their kids onto drugs in order to make those kids easier to control and to make their behavior less troublesome to others. This is a huge problem. Okay, that over half of the kids who are diagnosed with autism are on some sort of mood-altering drug. This is a much bigger deal than the fact that some idiot might put bleach up their kid's butt. And honestly, if the people who are so, science, I love science, I'm so sciencey, I care about science. No. These people care about IMFAR tribalism. They care about vaccine tribalism. Their tribe is we're the good science autism parents, But they aren't interested in science. If they were interested in science, they would have paid attention enough to know how bad the science behind medication is. How bad the science behind... I know I come off as an anti-science nutcase, and my master's is in science. I have an MS in science, and one of the reasons I don't like to talk about, people are always asking me, will you write about this article about that somebody wrote about how environmental causes of autism, or and I can't write about those things because I don't understand that science. I not that I think mushrooms are an effective treatment for autism. Saw that one today. But I have a good background in some kinds of science that are very relevant to autism, with educational science, which gives me an understanding of basic psychology, at least the methodology that's used in an experimental basis. And then I have a good layman's understanding of neurology because I studied it a lot. But to me, it's important not to talk about things I don't understand. And I don't think that's at all important to the people who are always talking about how great IMFAR is.